The crisis that President Biden and Secretary Mayorkas have done nothing to stop is now affecting every state, in every town, every village and city, endangering the lives of innocent American citizens. How many more American lives will it take for us to close the border? How many violent crimes will it take for this administration and Democratic leaders in cities and states across this country to end their disastrous policies that are endangering the American people and threatening the sovereignty of this country? I strongly support H.R. 7511, the Lake and Riley Act, and I'm a proud co-sponsor because enough is enough, Mr. Speaker.
This is all about not coming up with a solution. They come to the floor, they complain, they point fingers, but they will not work with us on a solution. It is mind-boggling to me. And it is cynical. So, my friends, because of your inaction, because of the bills that you have blocked repeatedly, including a supplemental request by President Biden for an additional $13 billion for border security, your actions have resulted in us not being able to make more progress. So, my friends, own this issue. You own the border security issue. You own the fentanyl issue. You own all of it. And I think the American people are seeing through all of this. The idea that you would bring a bill like this to the floor to exploit a terrible tragedy, a bill that will do nothing, a bill that you know is going nowhere, is really, really sad. I have news for the gentleman from New York. Republicans now own this issue. Your inaction is one of the reasons why we are not making more progress on our border. The gentleman who just spoke was in the Rules Committee last night bragging about the fact that Republicans increased border security funding in their Homeland Security bill last year. Bragging about it. Well, Congress 101 tells us that once you pass a bill in the House, you need to send it over to the Senate for them to consider it. And the bottom line is, and maybe the gentleman hasn't answered this, why is your Homeland Security appropriations bill from last year still sitting in this House? Why was it never sent to the Senate? So again, I say to my friends who are watching here today, look at their actions. Don't look at their words, look at their actions. And the gentlelady from Indiana was talking about the negotiated bipartisan compromise in the Senate as it was somehow a reflection of President Biden's priorities. Let me remind her that Mitch McConnell, the Senate Minority Leader, said it was one of the toughest immigration border security bills that he's ever seen. But let me also remind her that the person who was the chief negotiator, Senator Langford of Oklahoma, is the second most conservative member of the Senate. You can't get any more conservative than him. And by the way, the man that my friends are all so afraid of, Donald Trump, has said when he endorsed Senator Langford that he's one of the toughest guys around on the border. My friends are in charge of this place. They know that they're in charge of the House by only a small margin. They know that Democrats control the Senate by a small margin, and they know we have a Democratic president in the White House. And so the gentlelady says that this is not a ploy. Well, what else would you call it? When you bring a bill to the floor that bypasses the committee of jurisdiction, no amendments can be made in order, and you bring it to the floor and you know it's going nowhere in the Senate and you know it will not become law. What do you call that? It's either a ploy or a total waste of time. And we spend an awful lot of time doing nothing around here, yelling and screaming, but when it comes to actually solving problems, my friends don't want to do it. I have news for my Republican friends. If you want to get stuff done, you got to work with us. I get it. You're in charge. You will probably get more than I would like you to get, but the idea that you are in control of everything, that this is a dictatorship, it's not yet. I know that may be something we might have to deal with down the road, but not yet. Right now, we're still a deliberative body. This is still a democracy. And if you want to get stuff done, then you got to work with us in a bipartisan way. But if this is all about show business, about press releases, then fine. Have at it. Give more speeches, more complaints. But I'm telling you, the American people are getting tired of it. I reserve my time.
Gentleman from Massachusetts reserves. Members are reminded to direct their remarks to the chair. Gentlelady from Indiana is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just want to comment on my colleagues' comments about this not going through a regular process. It's just not really correct. The House Judiciary Committee has held 7 hearings on the state of our southern border. They also held a hearing specifically on criminal aliens and the Biden administration's lax immigration enforcement in the interior of the country. In addition, Section 4 of H.R. 7511 was marked up in February. So we heard a lot from my colleague on the other side of the aisle. I will yield.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, facts are important things. There have been no hearings on this bill, and there was no markup, and there was no vote to report the bill to committee. That is a fact. I thank the gentlelady for yielding.
What we will not hear the President of the United States tomorrow night in this room talk about is Lake and Riley. My colleagues doth protest too much about a bill that is named after someone who is harmed, given the extent to it. I think there's like a whole website dedicated to the bills that my colleagues on the other side of the aisle find a way to name after somebody in the wake of some emergency. They do not want to talk about Kayla Hamilton, a 20-year-old with autism in Aberdeen, Maryland. A 17-year-old illegal alien from El Salvador was released into the country as an unaccompanied alien minor, killed Kayla Hamilton, raped and beat her to death in her home in July of 2022. I do not believe that the President of the United States or my Democratic colleagues want to talk about Kayla Hamilton.
This place is no longer a serious place. My friends are turning the House of Representatives into a debate club. None of this is serious. The gentleman comes up and tries to claim that there was regular order here, that the Committee of Jurisdiction actually did its job because half of the bill maybe was the subject of a hearing previously. I mean, now we're coming. My Republican friends are coming to the floor praising half regular order. I don't know. When I was in grade school, that's 50% is a failing grade. My friends are failing on regular order. If you were serious about this, you would understand, and you want to get something passed, you would conduct yourselves in a different manner and actually have regular order and invite Democrats to be able to offer ideas and try to work things out to see whether you can have a bill that actually had a chance of going anywhere in the Senate or being signed into law. But that's not what it's about. The gentleman comes here and starts reading the names of victims. I could sit here and read the names of the 21 victims in Uvalde who were murdered by a man with a gun. I mean, I could go right down the list and start naming, all the children that were killed, all the mothers and fathers that were killed. The real challenge for this institution is to actually try to come together in a bipartisan way and solve problems and do something. I don't know how my friends could go home and claim that they're doing anything and be able to point to nothing that ever makes it past the finish line. I mean, we are in a divided government. I wish we weren't. I wish Democrats were in control of the House, the Senate, and the White House all at once. We get a lot more done. When we actually get some stuff done. But that's not the reality. And so we have to deal with the reality. And the reality is if you want to get anything done, you have to work in a bipartisan way. And you have to respect at least some semblance of regular order. That this bill had to be rushed to the floor with not a single hearing, with no markup, no amendments, no nothing. The Committee of Jurisdiction never even had a chance to report it out. Oh, it's awful. Mr. Speaker, I'm going to urge that we defeat the previous question. And if we do, I will offer an amendment to the rule to bring up H.R. 12, a bill that would ensure every American has full access to essential reproductive health care, including abortion care. Since the wrongly decided Dobbs decision, every state across America has taken action on abortion in some way. Unfortunately, many Republican-led states, chaired on by Republican members in this chamber, have passed laws to either ban some or all abortion care. Republicans have made it crystal clear that banning abortion nationwide is their goal. And if trying to ban abortion care is not dangerous enough, extreme Republicans are now doubling down on their attacks on women's reproductive freedom by supporting a bill to ban IVF nationwide. and that would criminalize reproductive health care.
My colleagues want to, as I said before, hide behind the Senate legislation to try to suggest that House Republicans are not addressing the issue. Well, everybody who's been paying attention to the issue knows that we did in fact pass legislation just under a year ago that directly address the issues that are plaguing American citizens on a daily basis. My colleagues on the other side of the aisle have literally no defense to the reality that millions have been released into the United States. Millions have been flooded into our communities, our schools, our hospitals. And my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, they just kind of smugly smirk at what we have to deal with in Texas, what sheriffs have to deal with in Texas, what we have to deal with in our schools, in our communities, when we have to find the dead bodies of migrants on our ranches, because that's what happens.
Mr. Speaker, let me say two things. First of all, yelling doesn't solve the problem. And two, nobody on this side of the aisle is glossing over this issue. I've just spent the last 30 minutes telling you how ridiculous the legislation my Republican friends are bringing to the floor is, and complaining about the fact that every chance you get to fix the problem, you choose not to. And by the way, it wasn't my words that I was quoting. It was Republican members of the Senate, impeccably conservative Senator Langford, Senator McConnell, Senator Tillis. It's your Republican colleagues. And I get it. My friend is now making it clear it's either his way or the highway. Okay, well, that's not a very good attitude to have when you're in a divided government. But anyway, if that's what it is, that's what it is. But I'll remind my Republican colleagues, they keep on bringing up their vaunted H.R. 2. And by the way, I'll say to the gentlewoman from Indiana, I think that's more than 2 words. But anyway, but H.R. 2, last week, Senator Cruz from Texas, basically had an amendment to the CR to bring up H.R. 2. Their bill, their solution. It got 32 votes. 32 votes. That's less than a third of the Senate. I don't know about you, but I think that's a pretty good indication that H.R. 2 ain't going anywhere. So it's dead. So maybe we ought to come together and figure out what we can do together. And for the life of me, I don't understand why Republicans are reluctant to do that. I mean, this is not a debate club. It's not supposed to be a debate club. This is supposed to be a place where we solve problems and pass legislation to help protect and defend this country. And instead, all we get treated to are press release bills, MAGA bills, yelling and screaming and whatever, but never a solution. I reserve my time.